Percy says that they should... Oh, no, just kidding. He already said that. Jason answers that the one that starts... Nope, just kidding. Didn't already say that. Piling up mountains. All right. Zürich, Switzerland, what is good? There's so many stairs. There's so many stairs. Whew. And there's so many of you here. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it out to the show. Whew. I have had a wonderful time in your wonderful country. We have been here for like 2 weeks. We started in Brienne's tiny little town going on hikes and stuff. And then we did some day trips up to Grindelwald. And then we went to, well, I can't remember the name of the other place that had a really pretty lake with mountains all over. And then we did some days in Iseltwald. And then we've been here in Zurich. And we have seen beautiful sights. And we've been drinking beautiful things. I don't think I have to worry about my blood alcohol content level, but I do need to worry about my blood Rivella content levels. And then similarly, I do think I'm probably going to have to set up an IV drip of Ovaltine crunchy spread directly, because that'll just be the most efficient, so I don't have to keep spooning it into my mouth. I can just get it right in the veins. Oh, the food here, very strong. The vibes here, very strong. And the show that we're going to do today is going to be very strong because these chapters, there's some good stuff going. So obviously, I'm not going to be doing this alone. We are joined today by two wonderful guests making their TNO debut, but you will at least have heard their names in the credits for years and years and years, and you've definitely seen their presence on the Discord and other social media. And if you went to the Dublin show from Tourope in 2023, you got badgered by them to buy merchandise. Make some noise for our guests. It's Lada and Vero Bartova! As they also descend the stairs and stairs and stairs.
It's really far away, okay?
So many stairs.
Look, it's a beautiful problem to have. Oh, we sold so many tickets, they put us in the biggest theater. Oh, no. How's it going, folks?
Not too bad, not too bad. Except for the stairs, you know. So many.
It's okay, get a little cardio before talking. You know, get our steps in before we sit and talk about books for 2 hours. Speaking of the books, since this is your first appearance on TNO, what is your histories each with the Percy Jackson books and then also the Heroes of Olympus series?
So I started reading Percy Jackson because of you.
Oh, I'm so honored. Disney Hyperion, did you hear that?
Obviously, I watched the show because of Mike as well. Just saying. But no, I read the series when you mentioned that you might start the podcast. So I picked up the first book and read them all within like 2 weeks.
Nice.
the original 5. And then Heroes of Olympus, I started fairly recently.
Yeah. In prep for the show. It's all good. It's
exactly. But obviously, I'm not putting them down now. Nice. Until I'm done.
Amazing. And then what about you, Vero?
Well, I've seen the movies, obviously, when they were coming out. So, you know, we all know that they are a masterpiece.
That is a word that you could use.
And then, similar to Lada, I realized that there are actual books when you started talking about possibly moving into the Percyverse. And I picked it up as well. And I was like, I'm going to read these. I have a reader's block, but I'm going to read these. So I made it through the first 2. And then I put it down. And then, 3-4 weeks ago, Mike reached out and was like, you guys planning to come over for the show? And I'm a little behind, but...
So you were on the Titan's Curse?
I was on chapter 3 of Titan's Curse. And I am currently on chapter 14 of House of Hades because I literally cannot stop. It's so good.
Fantastic. Perfect. Well, I'm very excited to get into what we're covering, so let's get right into it. We're going to begin with chapter 11, which is a Piper chapter. It's called Piper. We'll obviously retitle it. Now, when we last left our heroes, the cover of the book was about to happen. So it was the Jason versus Percy controlled by Gia situation, where they definitely seem possessed and like they're being forced to fight against each other. It opens with a quote from Piper as the narrator that says, "If not for the horses, Piper would have died." So,
Can I just say, as a horse girl TM, this is the strongest opening a chapter could have ever.
I was very excited because obviously I'm a huge Blackjack guy. So Blackjack being back in the mix was like, oh, cool. Not only is Blackjack here, but Blackjack is contributing to saving the life of Piper. Come on, what's not to love?
Not really saving the life of anybody else. Yes.
The grand.
He figures it out. So Jason and Percy had basically charged at each other, but Tempest, Jason's horse, and Blackjack stalled long enough for Percy to leap out of the way. Piper is just stunned as she sees the two boys cross swords. And then there's this clash of the gold sword versus the bronze sword. I hear you giggling in the crowd. Come on. It's an all ages show. Piper yells, "Stop it!" And the charm speak works for just like a little bit on Jason. He stops and he locks eyes with Piper. And then Percy rushes over and slams his blade into Jason's chest, knocking him off of his horse. But Percy had turned the blade so it wasn't the sharp portion. So that makes Piper wonder, oh, maybe he still has a little bit of control, or he did something to not like fully slice him in half.
So do you think that Percy did that consciously?
I think yes. I think it's one of those things where like, you know, he can't really control it. Because the way Leo described this situation, I think he said something to the effect of, I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I was still motivated to do it. So maybe Percy is just like the little extra edge because he's heard Gia speak to him. So I think it's like similar enough where he at least like, even if he's only 5% in control, that 5% turned his hand from this to this. So it's flat instead of sharp.
Sorry, just a little off topic. I'm a little behind on the podcast, so do you say it is Gia?
Oh, yeah, right, yes. I say that because the narrator says that, which is wild.
That is-
reasoning...
That's
A choice.
interesting.
The reasoning is that it's like Gia, like Pangea, is I think that's why the pronunciation is, but I just imagine it as a small Italian girl named Gia as our big bad villain. So that's what I've got. But I do have a new interpretation of how I'm viewing Gia, and we'll get into it very soon. But yeah, I'm keeping up that bit forever because I was trained in the fire and brimstone of improv comedy. Blackjack starts to walk away from Jason. Tempest just bolts off and disappears into vapor, pun intended with bolts off. Percy can't get Blackjack to turn around. He's trying to do so that he can fight Jason. Piper yells for Percy to drop his weapon since he and Jason are friends, and Percy begins to lower his arm, and Piper thinks, ooh, I bet I could fully talk you out of this. But then Jason rises to his feet, he roars, and then channels a bolt of lightning out of the sky. It bounces off of his sword and into Percy, who gets knocked off of Blackjack.
Needed to even the ground, you know?
Yes.
Can't have mounted Percy when Jason's on the ground.
Right. And weirdly, you need to even the grounds, but like Percy was somewhat at a disadvantage because Blackjack was being too good of a bro. He was being too nice. So yeah, like in a fight that would be better, but I guess Gia and the people who we will see are controlling them, they like have to get Blackjack out of the mix. Like you're being too helpful to original Percy, not evil Percy's cause. So Blackjack whinnies and then runs off into the fields. And I would love if we could figure out what Blackjack is saying, because obviously Blackjack would be very confused at this point. So if this was a Percy chapter where we could understand what Blackjack's thoughts were, I think this would be absolutely hilarious, because the whoa boss, what's going on nature in this particular scene would be off the charts.
I suppose we're doing this, running towards Jason's like, I guess she's kind of scary. Wait, is Tempest she or a he? Do we know that?
Blackjack is a he, even though Blackjack started as a she in the second book.
But Tempest,
Is just a spirit.
the spirit.
Huh. I don't know about Tempest.
So I don't think we have any sort, or maybe they're they.
Yeah.
Maybe
I don't
they're
know.
just
if
them.
I can't remember. Does anyone know offhand?
I don't think that we got any sort of gender.
It's just, interesting. Ooh.
So
a new
them
mystery.
it
They,
is.
we'll go with they to be safe. Piper panics as she's unable to find her voice. It's as if Gia is whispering to her, you must choose one. Why not let Jason kill him? And the way that was said, I now just want to turn Gia into Yzma from Neighbors New Groups. Like, you must choose one. Why not let Jason kill him? And I think I might be doing that going forward. So I'll have to watch more Emperor's New Groove to really perfect the voice. Piper screams, "No!" and yells for Jason to stop. And the narrator, Piper, says, quote, "Jason turned, the gold light in his eyes flickering uncertainly. I cannot stop. One must die." And something about the voice, Piper just thinks that's not Gia, it's not Jason. Whoever is speaking this way speaks in a halting, staccato type manner as if English was this person's second language. So not as smooth as Jason or Gia.
Can relate.
Wouldn't know anything about it.
So Piper asks, "Who are you?" And then with an evil smirk, Jason replies, "We are the Eidolons." I'll have to ask Dr. Moya. I think that's the pronunciation, but we'll see. "We are the Eidolons. We will live again." And I remembered, oh, right, the prophecy mentioned that there's some sort of twins. I bet these are the twins. Piper is unfamiliar with them. She asks if they're ghosts, and then Jason turns back to Percy and states that he must die. Percy's back in action. He's up off of the ground, and he sweeps his leg and sends Jason to the ground. Jason's head then hits the road, like they're on an asphalt road, hits the road with a loud thud, and this guy's head trauma situation is out of control.
Honestly.
Absolutely out of control. They need to have some sort of concussion protocols like the NBA does. Like, we need something to make sure that Jason is okay, because this can't keep happening.
I know.
I mean, it's just one day going to cause permanent damage. We need to take care of Jason.
He needs to start wearing a helmet, honestly.
I was going to say, yeah.
Make a helmet for Jason.
Yes, please.
Hashtag.
Yes, let's do it. Piper screams for Percy to stop. There's no charm speak in her voice. It's just desperation. And then Percy raises Riptide over Jason's chest, and Piper considers attacking Percy, but she knows that this is an awful idea. He would just destroy me. So she then focuses and channels all of her anger into her voice and says, "Eidolon, stop." And then Percy freezes. Piper demands that the Eidolon face her, and then he, looking like a very evil-faced Percy Jackson, says, "You have not chosen, so this one will die." And Piper's guess is that he's a spirit from the underworld that is possessing Percy.
I have a question here.
Okay.
Because I'm just wondering, do we think that if the Eidolons would stay in Percy and win this, would they keep Percy's powers or just Percy's skills? Because Piper does mention that she can't fight him because he still possesses all Percy's skills, and Percy is a really good fighter. Would he still be the son of Poseidon powers?
Interesting.
I think he
know.
would, because Jason blasted him with the lightning.
That's true. Okay.
While possessed.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So I guess you keep the powers as well. But that is an interesting thought.
That's dangerous.
It's super dangerous. Absolutely scary. Then evil Percy responds, "I will live again in this body. The Earth Mother has promised. I will go where I please, control whom I wish," which I think is gross. This particular type of horror, like identity theft, body horror kind of stuff, is just like, ooh, I hate it so much. As someone who's terrified every single day that there will be an AI model that turns my voice into something else. Yeah, every single day. Ooh, the worst. So then Piper realizes that what's happening here is exactly what happened to Leo. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, obviously I'm scared of this and I don't like this as a, vibe situation, but in terms of like villain in the book, super compelling, especially because we have so many heroes. Now it's the whole like, who can we trust? When you have 7 people that you're rooting for, it's genius. It's so smart.
You can trust absolutely no one.
Nobody. So evil
Which I'm sure for Piper is like, well, we're on this quest where we're supposed to unite the Greeks and the Romans, and now I can't trust any of them, so this is gonna go well.
Yeah, it is the perfect wrench to throw into this situation. So shout out to Uncle Rick for picking a perfect villain. So evil Percy laughs and then says, "Too late you realize you can trust no one." And I thought that, except at least according to this interaction, whoever is being possessed has like a very easily readable evil look in their face. Like they kept being like an evil smirk and arched eyebrows and a curly mustache. So
the golden eyes might be an indicator.
True. Yeah, unless they like force everyone to wear sunglasses. I feel like it shouldn't be too hard to tell, but
The question is then, do they control them fully all the time, or if they are just in there, or do they pop in and out? That's kind of the whole
right.
question. How are they doing this exactly? Please give me all the details.
It might show up later in this episode. So Jason still is not moving. Piper thinks that she has no help. She has no way to defend Jason. But then she hears a rustling in the wheat and she sees the tip of a black wing. So Blackjack has not fully run off. Percy turns to look, but Piper demands him not look at it and to focus on her instead, using some charm speak in there. Evil Percy insists that she cannot stop him. Blackjack continues to sneak up. Piper then continues to speak to Percy in quotation marks, but really she's pouring all of her energy and focus into trying to communicate with Blackjack. And she's just hoping, and she's keeping eye contact with Blackjack as well. She's just hoping that Blackjack will understand her words. So she talks in a vague enough way saying, "You won't kill him, you will knock him out." And Evil Percy is definitely underneath the charm speak because he squirms a little bit and asks, "I will knock him out?" And then Piper replies, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't talking to you." And then Blackjack comes in and hits Percy over the head with his hoof. He crumples to the ground next to Jason, and we need a proper doctor on board. Like, we need an actual head trauma trained medical professional like Coach Hedge. I'm sure you're fine. We need Dr. Someone. Like, somebody call Will Solace. We need somebody here. Like, welcome aboard. We're the 8 now. You just are the team medic. Like, there's too many injuries. We're in chapter 11. We've had so many major situations happen. I can't handle this. We need
Ambrosia
someone.
won't cut this. Like, they can't just keep doing that.
They might run out at some point, as Annabeth or somebody says. It's like, oh no.
That comes in pretty soon. But like, yeah, this is an unsustainable pace of injuries. We need to readjust.
I have a silly question. Which hoof is Blackjack using to knock Percy out?
I don't know if horses are right-handed and left-handed.
Yes.
But
like front or back, or is he like backing into him?
Because he rears and knocks him.
So it's the front.
Yeah.
I would guess Blackjack, if horses are like right-handed or left-handed or whatever, I would imagine Blackjack would use the weaker hand because they don't want to actually hurt Percy.
He knows his own strength, right?
Yeah, well, that comes up because Piper rushes over and yells to Blackjack, "You didn't kill him, did you?" And then Blackjack snorts in a way that Piper thinks must mean, "Please, I know my own strength." So good thing Piper can also kind of speak horse, I guess. She
but
can
we
interpret
all know
this.
that Blackjack said it in a much more...
Hey, whoa, come on! Yeah, for sure. There is no return of Tempest. It's just Blackjack here. Piper then checks on the boys. Jason is breathing steadily, but 2 head injuries in 2 days cannot be good. Percy's not bleeding, just has a big welt where he was hit in the head. She tells Blackjack that they must get the boys back to the ship. So Blackjack nods and kneels so that Piper can load the 2 boys onto him. And the narrator Piper says, quote, "After a lot of hard work, unconscious boys were heavy. She got them reasonably secured, climbed onto Blackjack's back herself, Backjack, and they took off for the ship." So feels like, crisis mostly averted. I was relieved, but I'm still very much wondering at this point, what the heck is going on? What are the powers? What's up? Now, the group is shocked when Piper returns. Frank and Hazel tend to Blackjack. Annabeth and Leo help Piper with the boys. And then Hedge starts tending to their wounds, and he says at this rate they're going to run out of ambrosia and asks why he never gets to go on any of the violent trips.
Did Hedge become like a good doctor or something? Because do I remember correctly that in the previous book he was actually really, really bad at tending to injuries?
Why do I think in The Lost Hero there was a time when he healed people and they were like pleasantly surprised with how good he was?
I feel like when they were meeting with Talia for the first time in that book, they had to...
Oh yeah, he was trying to heal them, and then Talia was like, "Yo, it's fine, it's fine. My friend here's got it."
Oh yeah, no, right, okay.
So I was surprised that he's actually being useful at this point.
Maybe he took time in prep because he knew that he was going to be on this quest. Maybe he took the time to study, but no, he was probably just watching MMA fights online. But Piper then asks if they are ready to set sail. She asks this to Leo. Leo says yes, but he wants to talk about what happened. And Piper says that we can do that later. Right now, we just got to get going to Atlanta. Annabeth is flummoxed when she learns that Blackjack is the one who hit Percy. And Piper explains what happened while Hedge begins to heal them. And narrator Piper says that she never trusted Hedge's healing abilities, but either he's doing incredibly well or the ghosts have made the boys extra resilient because they both groan and open their eyes and kind of come back to their normal form. Now, eventually, both of the boys are able to talk like their normal selves, but their memory about what happened is a little bit hazy. Jason is embarrassed about getting knocked out twice in 2 days, thinking of himself of, what kind of hero am I? He then apologizes to Percy for blasting him, and Percy laughs it off, saying that, Thalia hit me with that before, I'm used to this. Classic situation. And then this exchange happens. Jason goes, "Yeah, but I could have killed you." And then Percy goes, "Or I could have killed you." And then Jason shrugs and says, "If there had been an ocean in Kansas, maybe." And Percy goes, "I don't need an ocean." And Annabeth goes, "Boys, I'm sure you both would have been wonderful at killing each other, but right now you need some rest. I love Mom Annabeth.
She's the best. This only proves yet another reason why she's so important on this quest.
As I've advocated in previous episodes, she should be the leader of the quest.
I
There's
agree.
this whole thing of like, oh, is Jason in charge? Is Percy in charge?
Especially
Annabeth's
because
in
of that.
charge.
Exactly.
I feel like she is. She is the one who's charters the boat to come Jupiter. She is the one who comes up with all the plans. And the boys literally cannot decide what to do. So
Also,
they do need
they named
Annabeth.
the book after her, so like.
Yeah, true. It is
saying.
basically Annabeth book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They should
All
realize that the book is named after her and let her be the leader.
All chapters are Annabeth or Annabeth flavored.
Of course. Since Annabeth said they need some rest, Percy asks if we can eat first. And I feel some kinship to Percy Jackson because I always want to eat before doing whatever. Percy asks if they can eat first and also if they can talk about some of the things that Bacchus said. And Annabeth says, yeah, sure, that works. But Percy needs to change out of his clothes because they smell like burnt, charred, like they're scorched. So she is like, you got to change. You smell awful. So later in the mess hall, Piper recounts what happened, basically just reads them the last chapter and a half. Leo is relieved that the possession theory has now been confirmed, so he knows for sure what happened before wasn't my fault. Someone else was controlling me. Annabeth doubts that the Romans would buy this story if they tried to tell it to him. Jason counters, well, Raina probably would believe it. And then narrator Piper says this, quote, hearing the way Jason said her name, like it was a lifeline to his past, made Piper's heart sink. She's such a teen. They're all such
Jason,
teens.
honey. Jason, don't. Jason, why? Come
Yeah,
on,
it's about
buddy.
to get bad because Jason looks at Piper with hope and suggests that she could speak to Raina, perhaps. Piper's blood boils. Annabeth gives her a look of, ugh, boys. And then Hazel winces. And I like that Piper as the narrator goes, even Hazel winced.
Whereas Hazel's like, what, 13?
Yeah.
She
So,
doesn't have that much experience, and even she can tell that that was a bad move.
100%. I feel seen in this situation, though, because I certainly, when I was a teenage boy, would make these sort of like naive things, just like not recognizing the repercussions of saying something. And when Jason talks about this later at the end of chapter 12, that's something that like I also relate to of like there's certain times where I know the truth of the situation and I haven't like verbalized it, but I'm like, oh yeah, this shouldn't be an issue because of like what I know inside my heart. It's like, well, not everyone has your consciousness running through like, oh, this is what Mike thinks about this situation. The optic control, not ideal. And I also can be better at that. And as a teen, I'm sure I was terrible.
Also, I think sometimes as soon as the words leave your mouth, you're like, oh, maybe this was not the best idea.
Yeah. So Piper unenthusiastically goes, oh, yeah, sure, I could try. But then adds that she's more worried about Octavian because of what she saw in her blade. She's unsure that Raina would be able to stop him trying to motivate everyone.
Do we hate him?
Yes.
Oh,
my
yeah, oh,
God.
oh.
He's
How
the
much do we hate him? On a
worst.
scale
We hate him
to
so
10.
much that I don't think about Luke that much anymore. Like, it's just...
He's like the Percy Weasley of these books.
See, I think he's the
except
Dolores
worse.
Umbridge of these books. Because he's a misuse of power. It's all about
Yes.
corruption and utilizing his position to do what he
Okay.
wants. Yeah.
And the problem is that he's actually good at it.
Yeah, she was like good at getting there and then bad like once she got there. But I don't know. But that's the correlation I see. And I hated Umbridge more than Voldemort. Like,
Yes, 100%. Because she's the everyday real evil, right?
Exactly,
Where
yeah.
Voldemort is like the exaggerated, maybe.
Well, given how the world's going,
Well-
he becomes less exaggerated with each day. Oh, I'm so happy to be in this country for a little bit. Piper, after unenthusiastically saying she could try and then relaying the Octavian concerns, Frank agrees with them. He says that he saw eagles again this afternoon. Hazel thinks that this is exactly the scenario that Octavian would want, something where he can utilize this tumultuous situation to usurp power by claiming that Raina is being too kind to the Greeks. And when she then mentions that it feels like the eagles could smell them, Jason confirms, oh, they can, because he's American and he knows everything about eagles. I wonder if he knows that the stereotypical sound that we hear for eagles is actually a hawk noise.
I was just gonna say that. They sound like chickens.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, they sound way less cool. It's the most American thing possible for America to be like, no, we got to use something else that sounds cooler, just like all of our history textbooks. So he says that they can smell them. It is a situation where the eagles can smell out demigods better than monsters. So the ship's defenses that they have help, but they won't completely keep them at bay.
I am confused then why the bad guys aren't using the eagles to track the demigods then?
I guess maybe the eagles, it's one of those things. Are they technically magic or special eagles? Like maybe these eagles won't want to do the evil bidding of the evil side. Like they're not just like standard issue eagles. Or it's like the Lord of the Ring eagles. Where
exactly.
you can't be too convenient with eagles. Otherwise, we don't get 3 good books and 3 good movies.
That's exactly it, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
If Kelly was on stage, she would talk for 35 minutes about why, like, the people who are like, they should have just used the eagles doesn't make sense. And she's told it to me once, and I believe her, but we don't have the time to get into it. I'll tell her at intermission she's in the green room, and she'll be like, no, I want to talk about it. So Leo wishes that he had made a smoke screen that makes the ship smell like a chicken nugget. And Hazel goes, what's a chicken nugget? And Leo's like, oh, right, you've been out of commission for 70 years. You don't know what chicken nuggets are. Let me tell you everything about chicken nuggets. And Annabeth is like, we do not have the time to get into chicken nugget lore. We got to get on track here. The Romans are not going to believe the truth, even if we tell them the truth.
They should just order chicken nuggets from the magical plates.
Oh my God, right. Wow. He should just be like,
have
oh
to
yeah, let me
explain.
just
Just
think about chicken nuggets.
They are about to eat anyway, so
Yes.
Exactly.
I'll have to see if it comes up in a later chapter, but I hope it would be so great if at some point in this book, Hazel eats chicken nuggets and goes, these are great. What are they made out of? And they're like, don't ask too many questions.
Definitely chicken.
It's 100% chicken and nothing else. To Annabeth saying that the Romans are not going to believe the truth, Jason agrees, and he says that we should just keep on going. We'll be safe from the Legion once we go over the Atlantic. And I wrote in my notes, why? And then Piper immediately goes, why? And Jason cites the way that Raina talked about the ancient lands. It's this big Roman no-no that even Octavian wouldn't want to get around or couldn't get around. They're just so afraid of these ancient lands that it is sacrilege to do this if you're in the Roman camp.
Well, this is very fair on one hand, but on the other hand, and that is a question for you too, what do you think the Romans are going to do if they can't or won't go into the ancient lands? Are they just going to go home?
I could see the Legion like going back, but then maybe someone like if Octavian is going to be like real super evil Octavian and stuff, I could see him like trying to do something sneaky to where he tries to stop them. I don't know if he's going to go himself or if he would try to like send someone else or something else that would go, or I could see him not being okay with the Legion not following and then trying to do something else that kind of follows them there. I'm not really sure, but he just doesn't seem like the type to let it go.
No.
But I just don't know. I can't find an excuse for them to go back to Camp Jupiter unless it's like the end. But I don't know. It feels like something else is going to go down. So I'm not sure.
I'm just now imagining Octavian on like a flying ship by himself crossing the Atlantic. He seems like the kind of a person who would just go into battle by
He
himself.
just like boards a plane like on Delta Airlines and is like, one way from SFO to Rome. Let me just fly on
the person
in.
who's right in this situation. I gotta fix this myself.
Yeah, fine, I'll do. Yeah, I guess that's the thing is, if the Legion comes back and they're like, well, they went over to the Atlantic, we turned back. I think he would be the like, well, if you can't do it, I'll do it myself, and he'll figure something out. That's where I'm at. We'll have to see, but trapdoors got to stay intact. So Frank begins to relay a realization that Jason completes. They are going to be outlaws and traitors for going across to the ancient lands, and any Roman demigod will have a pass to kill them on sight. But Jason thinks that they're going to give up because they don't want to go there, and also they would just assume that the Seven wouldn't survive the Mediterranean, the Mare Nostrum.
Sure, let the monsters kill them. It's fine. Why bother?
Yeah, just save us some energy and stuff, and then we can be safe as well. Narrator Piper says, quote, Percy pointed his pizza slice at Jason. You, sir, are a ray of sunshine.
I love Percy's appetite. He's literally the only person in the entire crew that is like, I will eat until I die.
This would be me. As someone who, as you saw in the green room, after I already ate breakfast today, which was 3 eggs and a bunch bunch of roasted tomatoes, then got to the venue, and right before the show had a bowl of leftover miso soup and a protein shake before the show. And yes, Kelly is getting us pastries to eat during intermission, which I will certainly be eating before the next act because I'm already hungry again. Like, I definitely feel quite seen by him here. Narrator Piper continues. Jason didn't argue. The other demigods stared at their plates, except for Percy, who continued to enjoy his pizza. Where he put all that food, Piper didn't know. The guy could eat like a satyr. Yes, this is 1000% me. Percy says that they should make a plan that doesn't result in their death. And he says, quote, Mr. D, Bacchus, do I have to call him Mr. B now? Anyway, he mentioned the twins in Ella's prophecy, two giants, Otis and something that started with an F. And then Jason just immediately answers, Ephialtes? Again, we'll have to talk to Dr. Moy about this. And Annabeth knows that these two are what Piper saw in her blade. And she recalls a story about them from mythology. They tried to reach Olympus by piling up a bunch of mountains, which seems difficult.
Really smart, I'd say. Really
For a giant,
smart.
for sure.
If you want to go higher than a mountain, you go the size of two mountains, right? And the way to achieve that is to put the mountains on top of each other.
Yep. What's better than one
I
mountain? Two mountains.
I don't understand why anybody has a problem with that.
Look, you're preaching to the choir. You want to talk about tall mountains. Switzerland, oh my God. These mountains are so big that it's hard for me to understand what I'm looking at when I'm looking at the views. I have to like keep looking at things for context because it's so big. And then I have to look at like, oh, there's a tree. Let me put some, whoa, like it's just so ridiculously high. It's great. I've had such a fun time doing all of the hikes and the alpine railways and the gondolas. Delightful, delightful time here. Frank thinks that it's just great that they are fighting giants that are able to literally move mountains. He says, cool. And you say Bacchus killed these guys with a pine cone on a stick? And Percy thinks that planning on Bacchus to help them is foolish, as he seemed to want a tribute that they couldn't make. But Piper has a gut feeling that they are fated to receive his help and that they will not be able to complete this quest without his aid. She thinks that the giants are keeping whatever is needed to seal the doors of death permanently in the bronze jar.
I wonder as I go through these books about Piper's ability to see in the blade and things like that, because I don't know obviously all the lore, but I don't remember Aphrodite having a gift of sight.
Yeah.
And Piper seems to be getting a lot of like images and predictions and stuff like that, and gut feelings and things like that. So I just find it curious because it just seems slightly out of the left field for her.
To be fair, none of the seven are just like ordinary demigods. None of them are just their own thing. I think all of them have something a little bit extra. So
Yeah, that is true because you at least you have things that like they can do that some of the other people who have the same parentage can't. Like Leo can do fire, the other people from Cabin 9 can't. And then Jason can fly, Thalia famously can't. And then Hazel can do stuff with precious metals and everything that we haven't seen Nico or Bianca do. This could be them being special or Rick just wanting to add new things to the sequel book. But I think that the simplest answer is probably just so that people don't have to sleep all of the time. Like just logistically for the book, we need some sort of way to see what's going on. But also, I think the explanation was that it has to do more with the blade because the blade belonged to Helen of Troy. And then Aphrodite was heavily invested in the Helen of Troy situation because it was all based on love and a relationship and all of that. So maybe Aphrodite, even if it's not her powers, like she is so big on love that she's like made this blade important. So I see where you're coming from. I think the easiest answer is just we can't just always have people sleeping all the time. We need someone who can be awake and see the future, and that's Piper.
I'm good with that. You know what? Let's go with it. Piper is just special and cool, and we love Piper.
Look, in these chapters, it's proven that she is a very valuable member of the team in a lot of different ways, and it's always in a very interesting, different way than the other folks, and I think she provides a nice diversity of skill set to the roster.
Is she a bit whiny? Yes. Do we love her anyway? Probably.
How dare you call her whiny?
Have you read these chapters? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, she's absolutely right about everything, and I will not take this slander.
I like Piper. I think she is reasonably whiny and usually caveats any sort of whine to where I think she like, it's the type of like, we all have kind of the thoughts inside that aren't the best. She's not always vocalizing them, and I think she's pretty level-headed. Narrator paper continues. On the other hand, if the vision of Bacchus offering her a silver goblet was false, maybe the other visions didn't have to come true either, especially the one of her, Percy, and Jason drowning. Maybe that was just symbolic, and I love that. I hope that's the reasoning. Let's go for that so that our friends don't die.
Are you hoping, or are you actually thinking like, oh yeah, sure, this one's going to be symbolic?
I guess her vision never actually showed them perishing. It just showed them like struggling underneath the water. So I could see that still happening, but then them not dying. So maybe it isn't even the vision wasn't correct. Like her vision didn't actually show us the full story. Exactly. So I think it's going to be okay.
Prophecies are famously super accurate and clear.
Right. And also there may or may not be at least 8 more books that Percy's in. So I feel like he might be okay.
I don't know. We've seen people come back from death all the time.
Yeah. But Percy, no. Piper recalls what Gia said about the blood of a male and a female demigod, and now I've been long worrying about who's going to make it out of the 7. I don't think everybody's going to survive the end of the series. I've been particularly worried about Frank and Hazel. Now that we need the blood of a male and a female demigod, I'm thinking, oh no, Frank and Hazel, because there's this whole sacrifice they were hearing about, and there was what Mars was saying to Frank, like, oh, Percy will have to make a choice, and he won't have the strength to do it. And I'm afraid that like this whole like you have to choose people to sacrifice. I'm afraid that that's what this is going to be. And now I'm worried that like both Frank and Hazel, who have legitimate reasons of why they might die. Frank's whole he burns out so quickly. Hazel's whole thing of like, well, she was already dead. And we kind of got a thing previously where it's like it wouldn't be so bad if Hazel died because she'd get to talk to Dad, like preemptively softening the blow. Now I'm not worried about both of them individually. I'm worried about both of them in conjunction. I'm not
especially after Mars put such big emphasis on duty to Frank.
I mean,
and his mom dying in line of duty and all that.
We already had like duty played out. It's fine. He can only use it once. It's a Joker, and he used it once, so he can no longer play duty card. That's it. Done.
Not feeling good about it.
Solved it.
Piper mutters aloud that Gia wants 2 of them, so everyone stares and looks at her. And then she gets the feeling that more than 6 sets of eyes are focused on her. She explains a little bit more. Jason thinks that she avoided the whole sacrifice male demigod, female demigod thing by saving them, but Piper wonders why Gia would want this. And then Leo reminds the team about what Keone said in the first book of this series, wanting to spill Jason's blood and taint the wolf house for generations. Leo posits that maybe demigod blood has some sort of special power within it. And then Percy has a daunting realization. He tells the team that he had a dream where Polybides mentioned something similar. He said he didn't want Percy dead. He wanted him as prisoner so that he, Percy, could be killed at the right time in order to, quote, water the stones of Mount Olympus and wake the Earth Mother.
And Percy is worried enough by this to put down his food.
You are so right. Wow. Oh, man. That's important. That's really important. Everyone is stressed. Percy suggests, okay, let's all just not get captured. How about that? Jason agrees. Hazel asks, how are we supposed to decipher all of Ella's prophecy? And Piper brings up Bacchus telling them to seek out Forcis, or Forces, whoever this guy is. And Percy is the one who remembered his name. Annabeth is surprised that he does. And Percy says, well, it rung a bell eventually. Forces was an old sea god from the pre-Poseidon times. And Percy knows that he's a son of Gia, but he doesn't know what he would be doing in Atlanta, which for the non-American crowd, Atlanta is like not a coastal town at all. Like it's a multiple hour drive away from the ocean. And my initial guess here, just because of the names, I don't know what mythology this falls into, but I wouldn't be surprised if Atlantis was hidden in Atlanta. And there's some sort of explanation there.
That's a pretty good guess, I guess.
I'll just have to see. Leo says that they should reach Atlantis by noon tomorrow unless something else goes wrong. And Annabeth says, do not even joke around. This is a Heroes of Olympus book. Stop it. Piper then shushes the squad and says, the Eidolons, the possessing spirits, they're still here in this room.
They're still here. Oh my God.
Get out the Ouija board. Let's talk to them.
I'm so proud of her for speaking out, though, because she's clearly super uncomfortable in it. And she's like, I might be wrong, and then everybody will hate me and everything. And she does it anyway.
I understand that they're teenagers. I do know this, but I am so over them being too self-conscious about their powers. Just accept it. You're super powerful, super cool. You know things. They will not hate you. Would you hate somebody else if they were wrong? You wouldn't.
Yeah. I think they do a good job of being emotionally honest with each other, but not necessarily I think this comes in the next chapter. Something gets mentioned about Frank's stick and all of that. And then Piper is like, oh, Frank looked uncomfortable. And I was like, Frank didn't tell them this yet? Like, how does this not come up in conversation? So yeah, it's weirdly like when it comes to specifics about their powers and their lineage and stuff, sometimes they aren't as forthright, which it just kind of feels like, and I get it, it's like, it's a book. You got to do what you got to do. But I feel like if I was in this situation, we would have to just sit in the mess hall and just be like, everyone give each other your full deals. Let's just have a 5-hour conversation and just everyone give us your full backstory so we know everything about each other.
Basically, we're all about to die together or / save the world. We might as well know what we hide in each other's underwear. Or, whatever.
Right. That is the end of chapter 11, which I have retitled. So there's an American reference. I don't know if this goes over here, but there's a whole thing of in a Western movie being like, y'all fighting over little old me? So I've retitled chapter 11 to y'all fighting over little old G? Yeah? Since that's how the chapter begun. Do you two have retitling for chapter 11?
I mean, yes, it's not very good.
Sure. What is that?
Horses, it's good stuff.
Oh, great. Love it. Horse girl, true and true. Do you, Vero, have one?
Let's go with Piper embraces her stuff.
Great. Good. I love it. She's channeling it. So let's get into chapter 12. We'll at least begin it before breaking for intermission. Chapter 12 opens with, quote, Piper couldn't explain how she knew. So she, as the narrator, lets us know that she's never been a fan of ghost stories, back to her days on the reservation from Grandpa Tom, all the way through her dad telling them in Malibu. So she's just not a fan of whatever form they take.
Well, regardless of that, I am really glad to see the other lores being incorporated, and I'm sure that has come up before. So it's just so cool to see lores that I'm not as familiar with, because I grew up with Greek mythology, I grew up with the Roman stuff, and seeing how it connects or how it could connect to other cultures is really incredible for me. So, education and stuff.
Yeah. It's fun, and it makes me excited to eventually do some of the other books in the series. Like, I know there's the Egyptian one, and then there's the Norse one. I know the names, but I'm not exactly sure which one is which. But I am excited to kind of learn about those, because I know even less about those because they don't have a very popular video game centered on them, or at least I haven't played them. I'm sure there are games, but I haven't currently played any sort of Norse or Egyptian mythology game. So Piper thinks that the Eidolons act similarly to Cherokee spirits, making her think that these two mythologies might be more similar than she initially thought. Hazel thinks that Piper is right, citing that she met Eidolons in the underworld when she was dead. Frank asks if Piper thinks that the ghosts are walking along the ship, like they're on deck right now, but Piper suspects that they could already be inside of each of them, just biding their time. So Piper decides to use charm speak to try and exorcise the demons. She goes, quote, Eidolons, raise your hand. And then Leo starts to make a joke like, oh, this is so silly. What do you do? And then he just goes silent and his face goes slack. Percy and Jason, same thing happens to them. And then all three of them raise a hand and they have these glossy look over their eyes, which are now turned golden.
Nope.
I want to know what's up with these Eidolons that they're only possessing the boys.
Oh, only the boys. Yeah.
I mean, we know that there's 3 of them and there's 4 boys, so they avoided Frank. Why? What's the reasoning behind this? Are they choosing Percy and Jason because they're the most convenient, the strongest, but then they possessed Leo? Why didn't he move into a different demigod in the meantime? Are women just stronger minded? Are they just better? More difficult to possess? What's going on there?
I think, again, the simplest answer is Leo was the only one left on the ship. And then Jason and Percy already had a naturally kind of butting heads thing. And it makes Piper's choice more interesting because she would want to save Jason and not Percy. But we'll have to see. They don't really get into why they're choosing. They get into why those 3 specific Eidolons were chosen, but not necessarily who they are possessing. I think that it's more situational. I think it is just because Leo was left alone, and then also when the 2 boys were fighting, it was just they were there. I think if for whatever reason Frank went instead of Percy, I feel like the same thing would have happened where those 2 boys would have been possessed.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the current situation.
And follow-up question then, when do we think they possess them? Because
Like, when did it
Were they
start?
hiding within them already before, or and waited for the opportunity?
Annabeth mentions the cold feeling at the back of her neck.
Correct.
Some while back already. So
Yeah, I think it's
must
whenever
have
they
been-
feel the cold feeling, because it's the cold feeling is when Leo gets possessed, and that's like when they're coming in, and then there's the cold feeling in the field, and that's what causes Bacchus to be like, I'm getting out of here, see you guys later. Like, I think the cold feeling is the sign of the
So the
whoosh.
moment they enter the body is the cold
Yes,
feeling.
that's what I think.
So it is probably a reasonable thought to say that Annabeth is too strong-minded because
she did feel it at the
did
back of her neck
not.
and nothing happened.
Yeah.
She resisted.
Yeah.
Ooh. Did it try to overtake her, or did it just pass her on the way to Leo? Yeah. Oh, because that would make it less situational. Because then, if it is the cold feeling, it's when all three were on, and it's not like they knew Leo would stay behind.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it said like, I think you're right. I think Annabeth because Annabeth, as the narrator in those chapters mentions, like she's felt it multiple times. So it keeps trying and she keeps fighting it off. Oh, yep. Okay. So the answer is women are great. Okay, cool.
Yay.
Annabeth is spooked and asks if Piper can cure them. Piper focuses on Leo, who seems the least intimidating, as the evil person, not necessarily Leo himself, even though it's the same answer. She asks if there are more of them on the ship, and then he responds in a cold voice saying, no, Gia sent only 3, the best of the bunch, and they vow to live again. Piper says, not here you won't, and she demands that they all leave the boys. They refuse. Frank comments that this is very creepy, and then Leo turns to him and says, you cannot command us, child of war. Your own life is fragile. Your soul could burn at any moment. And I love the Eidolon basically going, who do you think you are? It's just so fun. Oh, I love it.
Also, you have mentioned this before, but how does every single person, all the bad guys and everybody around, except for Frank's friends, know about the stick? How? Just tell them, man. Just tell them.
It's interesting because, narrator Piper wasn't sure what that meant, but Frank staggered like he'd been punched in the gut. And I was so shocked that they hadn't given each other's vibe. But I guess like maybe Gia gives them like debriefing sessions before they go.
must.
Like when the villain like has the manila folders with information off of all the people. And it's like, all right, like it's a Mission Impossible movie or a Fast and Furious movie where it's like, here's the people, throw the file down. This is Dominic Toretto. He drives this kind of car. He's played by Vin Diesel. He's ethnically ambiguous. Like, yeah. So maybe they give the breakdown of like, this is Frank. He's a son of Mars. He has a chocolate bar sized stick in his pocket that'll kill him if it burns enough. So she's probably just a great villain. I'm all giving all credit to Gia. She just gives great PowerPoint presentations
She
to
is
people
the one
before
who
they
sent
go
them
in.
there, so it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's like before they leave, here's what you need to know. And
No weaknesses.
Unlike other villains like the giants themselves, she seems to be good at predicting things. So being good at like, you know what, I will give you all the information so you have an easier time murdering these demigods.
yes, yeah. And this is only sleeping Gia. I am very terrified if she gets awoken because she seems really well thought out, like way more so than Kronos. Kronos made some interesting choices along the way where it just thinks like, why would you do this? Why would your headquarters be on a boat when you're fighting Percy Jackson? And so like, it feels like Gia is smarter, so she actually wakes up. I'm terrified.
Well organized.
Very well organized. Frank challenges evil Leo to a fight, saying, I faced worse. You want to take me on? And Hazel warns him, just don't do this. Don't do this, Frank. Yeah, sigh boys is the right response. Jason then draws his sword. Piper yells for him to stop, but she is losing faith in this plan. Hazel points at Jason's gold sword and tells him to listen to Piper, and he lowers the sword suddenly like it's hard to handle. Another cool little precious metals power from Hazel. And then Percy has this situation where he growls in a very un-Percy-like way and says, daughter of Pluto, you may control gems and metals. You do not control the dead. Annabeth reaches out for Percy, but Hazel warns her to stop. She tells the Eidolons that they do not belong here, and she insists that they obey what Piper says. And then she turns to Piper and gives her a look of, you can do this, which I love from Hazel. And then Piper gathers up enough courage and goes, you will leave those bodies. And Jason repeats, we will leave these bodies. And Piper continues, making them swear... What's up, little one? How's it going? Hi. Hi. What a cutie patootie. Piper continues and makes them swear on the river Styx, which I think is a really smart move that I didn't see coming. Makes them swear on the river Styx to never return to the ship or possess any member of the crew. And I was like, Piper, just tell them never to possess anyone. This feels like a perfect loophole where they're going to possess one of our other friends. Thalia joins the mix. Oh no, Tyson joins the mix. Oh no, Grover finally shows up in this book series. Oh no. This reeked of plot hole that Uncle Rick is going to utilize later. Maybe it's too big of an ask for Piper to say anyone, and that's why she wanted to do something not too hard. But it just felt to me like someone who is always wanting to cross I's and dot T's, and which is the backwards way of doing it. I should do a look. Who's always wants to umlaut dot use. And make the big curly B that looks like an S in German or S that looks like a B in German. I just feel like, oh no, you got to get everything right. Like you got to check every single box.
I agree with you, but I do think if it's too generic, it might be too much.
Yeah, too hard to.
And
like
it's easier to convince them of this one specific thing.
Yeah.
So I was also thinking, reading this, it feels very specific. So I feel like she was going for, I want to make sure that this is safe. Yeah. We are safe. The ship is safe. And then my next question was going to be, what do you think is going to happen? Because this seems to be a loophole.
Yeah.
They for sure are coming back.
Yeah, they're coming back and they're going to possess someone else that is our friend. I don't know who, but it's going to be somebody else that's not like a member of the team. She tells them to do this, and then Leo and Percy hiss, but Piper repeats this command, and then finally all three in unison say, "We promise on the river Styx." And then this exchange happens in the book. "You are dead," Piper said. "We are dead," they agreed. "Now leave." Ooh, they all slump, and Percy particularly falls face first into his pizza. Annabeth grabs him. Piper and Hazel grab Jason before he can fall and hit the ground for a third time. But unfortunately, they can't get Leo. Leo hits the floor.
Oh, no. Sorry. No. It's not that they can't get Leo. It's that Frank is looking and watching Leo fall and choosing not to do anything.
Poor Leo, the seventh wheel.
Yeah, I'm
the
sure.
Boy needs some love. Come on.
I think he'll find some. I hope, and I'm not going to look at anyone's face. I hope it's Reyna, but we will have to see whatever happens to our good pal Leo. So I was worried, but he does hit the floor and then groans, so he's at least not knocked out. Hazel asks if he's okay. The book says he had a piece of spaghetti in the shape of a 3 stuck to his forehead, which of course I read in the cadence of All-Star by Smashmouth, like spaghetti in the shape of a 3 on his forehead. He asks if it worked, and Piper said that it did work. Jason asks if this means that he can stop getting injured, and Piper laughs and says, "Come on, lightning boy, let's get you some fresh air." Nope, you're gonna have to try again, Uncle Rick. This is not seaweed brain. No, we tried Sparky before, didn't like it. Lightning boy, also not a fan. Back to the drawing board. But that is the end of this act. That is the end of this portion of the episode. So if you're listening to the podcast after the fact, we'll take our mid-roll break, the Marks of Athena. But let's all right now say goodbye to the podcast people.
Goodbye, podcast people.
Hello and welcome to the Marks of Athena Auxiliary Shubio edition. I'm here with a whole boatload of updates about the podcast. August is a busy month for TNO, so let's get into it. First up, we are approaching less than 1 week territory for the live shows that we've got going on in the state of Missouri. Going to be in St. Louis with Johnny on the 14th, going to be in Kansas City with Michael Hollis on the 18th. The chapters that we are covering have been decided at that St. Louis show. It's going to be chapters 31 through 33 of the Mark of Athena, and then at the Kansas City show, it will be chapters 34 through 36. The St. Louis show is ages 18 and up. The Kansas City show is all ages. Then I will also be at Enchanticon from August 15th through 17th. That's also in St. Louis. Got 2 TNO shows. I think I'm going to be doing brackets where one is going to be the best Percy comebacks / trash talks, and then one is going to be the most redeeming things from the 2 really bad movies. So those will be on Saturday and Sunday of Enchanticon. I'm doing other stuff as well. If you want to get tickets to the shows that I'm doing, go to the newestlympian.com/live. If you want to get tickets to Enchanticon, go to enchanticon.com. Now, beyond that, we've got shows in September as well. Got the show in Providence, Rhode Island, which is going to be the ending of the Mark of Athena. I will be live reading that last little portion. I know it's like right before
before the last chapter. So the plan is to read up until that point, end Act 1 with me live reading the moment, and then during intermission, read the last chapter, which is shorter, and then cover that and do Q&A in Act 2. Now, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun, I wish I could attend, but I don't live in or near Rhode Island. You don't have to. If you get the internet, you can attend because the stream tickets for that show are now live at the newestolympian.com/live. So like we do with all the streams, you can watch it live. You can watch it up to 7 days with the 7-day replay. And if you are a patron, you get 20% off. So all of that stuff is live and you can get tickets to that. And then I will also be in Pittsburgh. We'll be covering the 4th book. By that time, I believe it would be the opening chapters of book 4, and that will be with Eric Hamilton Schneider. That's September 28th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So all that live show stuff, thenewestolympian.com/live. Now, another deadline that's coming up in September, by the end of August, you got to make sure that you are a yearly patron if you want to get those bookmarks for the retitling that I do of all the chapters. We're making one bookmark for The Lost Hero and one bookmark for The Son of Neptune. The Lost Hero one will look different than the ones that we had on the Midwest tour. So if you already have one of those teal ones, you'll get a yellow one, and then we're making a teal Son of Neptune one. So all you got to do is be any TNO tier and just make sure your payment plan is at the yearly setting, and then we'll mail it to you. Doesn't matter if you live in America or abroad, I will mail it no matter where it is, no matter what the shipping costs are, gonna mail it to you. I'm not discriminating based on shipping. That's silly. For that, obviously, you got to go to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon. Speaking of the Patreon, let's give a shout out to the folks who have joined the Patreon most recently. Shout out to our newest God tier patron, Nikki Bolton, and shout out to our newest demigod tier patrons, Alex Jackson, Natalia Nalepa, Arlen B, only here for the Hades stream, Margaret Cameron, Joshua Kaysen, and David. Thank you all so much for your support. May Dionysus bless you that you just stumble upon parties and events happening. This may or may not have happened to me and Steven today going to the park with the baby, and then turns out there was a dance recital performance happening in the park. Cool stuff. Now, if you're all caught up on the Newest Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, you're in luck because I make a whole bunch of it. And I've got a new show out with Sequoia that I think you would enjoy, and it's called Professional Talkers. We've got 2 episodes up at the time of recording. Episode 3 drops today. Episodes come out on Mondays, every other Monday. And it is a comedic advice show where you're getting advice about how to navigate awkward conversations from 2 people who have had lots of awkward conversations and have also had awkward moments from hours upon hours upon hours of our conversations being up on the internet for people to ridicule publicly whenever they want. Our first episode was about small talk at a party. Our second one is about awkward first dates. And our third episode is about telling your roommate that they got to be a little less messy. If you want to listen to that show, just search for Professional Talkers wherever you get your podcasts, or you can go to professionaltalkers.com. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors who make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me, and others of them won't be. The ones that aren't read by me are inserted locally. So if you live in El Salvador, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in Spanish. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of the Newest Olympian.
Perfectly timed. No joke. That was as fast as I felt comfortable going down the stairs. It took that whole song's time to get back to the stage. Beautiful problem to have. Hope you all enjoyed intermission. Missed you all so dearly. Let's get into this stuff because we've got stuff to discuss and I want to have time for Q&A so I can rave about all the things I've eaten. So, we left off, they did a successful exorcism. Huzzah. So, after doing the calling of lightning boy, Piper and Jason go for a walk on the dock. Narrator Percy says, quote, Jason was still wobbly, so Piper encouraged him to wrap his arm around her for support. Oh, I know this move. This is a classic. I definitely utilized this on Kelly and I's first date, if you will. We were going on a hike and we had to jump over some streams. So it was oh, why don't you grab my hand? I'll help you across. I am trying to be helpful, but also I wasn't helping anybody else that was on the hike. Leo gives them some space. He knows better. And he is conferring with Festus through the intercom about how they should progress. Hedge is watching TV, and Blackjack flown off, so he's not here anymore. The other demigods are all calling it a night. And as the Argo 2, Argo Harder, travels east, Piper is reminded of them riding Festus over Quebec in The Lost Hero. She likes what's happening now even more than when Jason had his arms around her atop the flying dragon. And she's incredibly excited that they are leaving New Rome behind them and going to a place where the Roman campers won't want to follow them.
It's a very selfish reasoning. Again, I love Piper. Let's put it out there. I do love her. However, kind of just, like there are things that
You do realize that anything you say before but, even if you call it however, doesn't count, right?
however and but are two separate words. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sorry,
hater.
however.
Exactly.
No, I get it, but I think that's what I appreciate about Piper. And maybe I'm able to appreciate it more because I'm reading this book for the first time as a 33-year-old father of one. Like, I recognize that she is just being very honest of like what a teenage girl would be thinking, or even what a grown adult would be thinking. Like, I think it's just a very honest thought for her to know the heroic thing, but think of like, what about me? And then there's points where she feels bad about it. So I think it's honest.
That's what I mean. This is why I love her. Even though she has all of these teenage things, and all of them do have, I've said this before, they are all teens. They are
Yes,
all basically
super
children.
teens.
And
Vero
I
doesn't
just
do well with angst.
I just appreciate that there is some honesty. So when there is things held back, I do struggle with that. I agree. But most of the time, the selfishness, I don't have a problem with. I just find it funny.
Yes. Yeah. And what's good about the way that they do the angst and stuff like this in this book series is that the characters will think it, sometimes think about how it's not good, and then not say it. We don't get into the beginning of the 5th Harry Potter book where Harry's just like, yes, I know he's going through PTSD, but he's still annoying as a narrator. Like, it's still a slog of a read for 10 chapters. Jason stops, leans on the railing, and thanks Pipes for saving him again. She thinks back to him saving her at the Grand Canyon where they were flying and she could feel his heartbeat. And she thinks best boyfriend ever, which is so teen, so teen.
What girl wouldn't want to be swooped off her feet, literally, and flown through the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, come on. What boy? I swoop me off my feet. Fly me through the Grand Canyon. I've never been. Narrator Piper says, quote, she wanted to kiss him now, but something held her back. And I was like, huh? But then Piper tells Jason that she's worried that Percy won't trust her anymore after making Blackjack knock him out. And I don't think that that's legit, and neither does Jason. He laughs it off, saying that Percy is a nice guy, but he could use a knock on the head from time to time. And then the book has this exchange where Piper goes, you could have killed him. Jason's smile fades and says, that wasn't me. And then Piper says, but I almost let you. When Gia said I had to choose, I hesitated and then she starts to cry and hates that she's come to tears. Jason then says, don't be so hard on yourself. You saved us both. And then Piper says, but if 2 of our crew really have to die, a boy and a girl, and Jason says, I don't accept that. We're going to stop Gia. All 7 of us are going to come back alive. Absolutely not. I promise you. And I love Jason. I think he's great. I know that not everyone is a big fan of him, or at least maybe like fandom wise, people are like, he's too heroic and boring. But like, I think he's a really good dude. And I think that this is cool for him to be so adamant, but Piper does not think it's cool. And I think her reasoning is very interesting and honest and thoughtful that I didn't think of. She's worried that he's making a promise because the prophecy has a line that says, an oath to keep with a final breath. And she hopes to herself that that final breath is not Jason's final breath. Quote, if love means anything, don't take him away. And now I unfortunately have to add Jason to the list of people I'm worried about. Damn it.
But do you think that this is the oath that the prophecy is talking about? Because, this is such an important promise that he's making.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like the oath. Like, I feel like it needs to be something more impactful than, no, we're going to be okay, don't worry about it. That doesn't...
Look, it'll be grand.
It just doesn't feel like an oath. Like, to me, a promise and an oath, it just doesn't...
It's not the same level.
Right. Oath is like, whoa. Yeah, and then we're getting into the Taylor Swift lyric where like, oath, it's serious. It's serious business. So I don't think that this is it, but I found it very interesting that Piper would worry about this, and it didn't even cross my mind. So I think it's very interesting that it's on the top of hers.
She is clever and sometimes too clever for her own good.
Yes. Yeah. It's the kind of thing of like, wouldn't it just be bliss to be stupid and not like have to worry about things going wrong around you? Piper, you're right. It's too smart, too worried. Like, it's truly ignorance is bliss. But alas, Piper, too on top of the game. She immediately feels guilty about worrying about this, though, saying that she hopes Jason isn't the one with the final breath because she wouldn't want Annabeth to have to go through the same pain if Percy would be the one to die. And I'm thinking, come on, he's going to be fine. I mean, he's got 8 more books to be in, at least. She then says,
as the narrator that even Hazel and Frank feel like family, so she doesn't want anything to happen to them. She gained massive respect for Hazel during the whole exorcism, and she literally calls it an exorcism. I'd been calling it an exorcism in my notes as a joke, and then she calls it an exorcism just straight up as the narrator. And I love what she does next. She asks Jason why he didn't want to talk about the Mark of Athena before when they were all together, and I completely forgot about this. So I'm so glad that she brought it up. He says that he doesn't know what is true and what's just a legend, but there is something that could potentially be very dangerous for all of them. He says that the story is that the Romans stole something important from the Greeks back in the days when the Romans were conquering Greek cities, and he's not sure what it is, and he doesn't think anyone in the Legion knows what it is, but the story is that the thing, and because he kept saying the thing, I was like, what if it's not a thing? Like, what if it's a person? Like, just, I wonder if, like, it's not actually an item that was stolen, but the thing was taken to Rome and hidden, and thus the Greek demigods have hated the Romans ever since.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a person, but maybe some type of knowledge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you have, Lada, have not read past the chapters we're covering today.
No.
So you also are in spoiler-free town like
I'm
me.
in dark.
I'm just sitting here watching you debate.
Yeah, and making sure your trapdoor is fine.
Give me all of your guesses of what do you think is this?
A knowledge or an idea, that's very interesting. I
Yeah,
didn't consider
especially
that.
because we know about the prophecies being the Roman, was it the Sibylline prophecies that were lost?
The Sibylline books or whatever.
Yeah. So something like that, because it's clearly very impactful to the Romans that they don't have access to those anymore. So if they stole something maybe similar from the Greeks first.
Oh, like they read something in the Sibylline books and then, because they were burned, right? So they read some sort of knowledge and then destroyed the books. Oh, that's good. That's a really good guess. That's a really good guess that I for sure never ever would have thought of. So that's awesome. So Piper asks why not just tell Annabeth? It's not like she's going to turn on you instantly or anything. But he says, I hope not. But the legend states that children of Athena have been searching for it for eons. Quote, every generation, a few are chosen by the goddess to find it. Apparently, they're led to Rome by some sign, the Mark of Athena.
Oh my God, he said the thing.
He did. We are approaching the Lightning Thief movie levels of times that they say the title. But I love it in this context because it actually makes sense. Whereas when they did it in the movie, it did not make any sense. But this, I'm so here for it. And I feel like every time they say it, there should be like a noise. Like in the audiobooks, when they say the Mark of Athena, there should be like the Inception, like every single time that they say it. It's great. Piper thinks that if Annabeth is one of the searchers, they should help her instead of trying to withhold information from her. Jason's unsure, but he says that he will tell Annabeth what he knows when they get closer to Rome. He's hesitant because the legend goes that if the Greeks ever learn what was stolen, they'll never forgive the Romans, and they will try to destroy Rome once and for all. So Jason's especially worried because what Nemesis told them is that Rome is going to be completely destroyed in 5 days' time. He's afraid that this knowledge could set off that aforementioned destruction.
It's probably going to be fine.
It feels a little dramatic, like over a stolen thing, destroying an entire
civilization.
culture.
Totally, yeah. It's never happened before.
I don't think anybody would, yeah.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
I am stressed though. Like I am stressed when I'm reading these books. Because lots, please.
Narrator Piper says, quote, Piper studied Jason's face. He was, without a doubt, the bravest person she'd ever known, but she realized he was afraid. This legend, the idea that it might tear apart their group and level a city, absolutely terrified him. So stakes are high. Piper wonders what could be the stolen thing and what would make Annabeth turn instantly. But then she realizes, well, I almost turned instantly against Percy when given the opportunity to save Jason, so I could see how this happens. And then Jason apologizes for suggesting that Piper talk to Raina. Let's go! How do you not love Jason?
Everybody cheer.
So good. Piper wonders if Aphrodite is interfering because this seems too good to be true, but then she immediately thinks, but don't stop. She insists that it's okay, but Jason insists that he never had feelings for Raina, so he didn't think that this would make her feel bad. And this is me. This is what I was alluding to before, where like I will think something and then just like be matter of fact and then realize, oh, wait a second. I didn't convey all of my thoughts to the other person, so they're not coming from the same perspective as me. So like I need to, and Jason needs to be better about communicating all of your feelings so that you're all on the same page when you say things like, hey, do you want to talk to my maybe pretend kind of ex-girlfriend? That's something that could be important to Jason.
I mean, Jason's just really, really harping this down at this point. So he's like, oh yeah, everything's fine. I don't have any feelings for her. I am definitely not going back. So I'm like,
Oh, you think he doth protest too much?
I feel like he is a bit intense about this. I mean, I do trust him.
I think,
but also,
I think maybe it's because I do it. I would definitely do the same thing. Or like, if I'm trying to, I would be like, no, for sure. I super duper don't like. I really don't. I'm not going back. I super promise. And it would get into the point where you don't trust me. But like me, because I'm a nervous person about things like that, I would say it 50,000 times.
No, I think this is just, we are back to the fact that Vero hates Piper.
don't make this into a thing. Piper is cool, okay? She has a little stubby thingy, and she sees the future.
So Piper admits that she wanted to hate Raina because she was afraid that Jason would want to return to Camp Jupiter, and Jason looks completely flabbergasted and says that that would never happen unless Piper came with him. And he promises again, which Piper does not like, and she tries to just put these thoughts away and enjoy the moment. As narrator Piper, she says, quote, "But as she looked over the side of the ship, she couldn't help remembering how much the prairie at night looked like dark water, like the drowning room she'd seen in the blade of her knife."
No.
So,
Don't like it.
Maybe the next chapter is going to start with them just falling over and drowning in a field.
now
I'm not sure.
I have retitled chapter 12 Boys, comma, ugh. Do you have
Perfect.
retitling
11 out of 10,
12?
no notes.
Okay.
Hey, I was going to go more with like Jason doesn't get a concussion again.
Yeah, good things happen to Jason's brain. Okay, now we do have a little bit more time, so we are going to do a little bit of chapter 13. Even though we advertised chapters 11 and 12, there's just the beginning of 13 ever so spicy, so we're going to have to do it, and then we can do Q&A. We're going to go kind of quickly because I want to make sure we have time for Q&A. It's a Percy chapter. It opens with, quote, "Forget the chicken nugget smokescreen. Percy wanted Leo to invent an anti-dream hat." And I was like, yes! Never make that invention. I love dreams.
Brilliant. We were just talking about how brilliant Rick's writing is because Percy's voice is so, for the other ones as well, but especially Percy, his voice is so clear in his chapters.
So
You can tell
distinct, yeah.
immediately that it's a Percy.
100.
I remember when I picked up The Son of Neptune and it starts with Percy with zero memories, just being
Percy.
himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
And first point of view is out of the window, and I was really, really worried because it was like, how are we going to convey this with no memories and nothing? It's so perfect.
Yeah.
He literally, it was 2 sentences in. I was like, this is Percy Jackson. Thank you very much.
So good.
I'm loving this.
So good. So Percy's dreams begin. He first dreams that he's in Alaska, basically doing the quest for the eagle again, and he's getting swallowed up by muskeg. Quote, "For the first time in his life, he understood what it was like to drown."
Do, do, do.
Yeah. He's
Especially after we just talked about the drowning thing.
Yep, that prophecy, it's looming, it's terrifying. He thinks to himself that it's just a dream and he'll wake up soon, but that doesn't make it any less scary. And as the narrator, Percy, lets us know that he's not necessarily afraid of water, but he is afraid of suffocation, which I'm also claustrophobic, so again, I feel seen in Percy. So he gets scared every time he goes in the water now, which he recognizes as kind of silly, being a son of Poseidon, but he vows to try and control his fear so that the fear doesn't control him. He thinks of Thalia being afraid of heights as justification for, sometimes you can be afraid of something silly. It's okay. I got to be on top of this. The dream then changes just before he's about to drown, and he's in a spacious underground place that kind of looks like a parking garage. It's got big pillars. He can't see too far, but he sees pulley systems, sandbags, and dark theater lights hanging from the ceiling, so kind of like it's a big backstage area. He also sees wooden crates labeled props, weapons, costumes, assorted rocket launchers, so giving an
Just normal
interesting-
theater things.
Yeah, normal sort of theater stuff. Percy hears machinery, water rushing through pipes, and then he sees what he thinks is a giant, and he describes the following as the narrator, quote, "He was about 12 feet tall, a respectable height for a cyclops, but only half as tall as other giants Percy had dealt with. He also looked more human than a typical giant without the dragon-like legs of his larger kin. Nevertheless, his long purple hair was braided in a ponytail of dreadlocks woven with gold and silver coins, which struck Percy as a giantish hairstyle. He had a 10-foot spear strapped to his back, a giantish weapon." So, ooh, creepy vibes.
I love that it's ish.
Yeah,
Giant-ish.
giantish. He's wearing a black turtleneck, black pants, black leather shoes that have curly toes, almost like a jester, and he's pacing and examining a large bronze jar. And we know that this is an important thing, so I was intrigued. He's displeased with the jar's lack of splash, and he calls out for Otis. So I'm like, oh, this must be Ephialtes. And Otis is dressed in the exact same way. The only difference is that his hair is green instead of purple. And
as someone who pulls this move with Johnny when we wear our matching pug shirts on stage, he basically does the one of us has to change move. And Otis says, oh, I thought you were wearing the yellow toga today. And Ephialtes says, that was yesterday when you were also wearing the yellow toga. Come on. Otis apologizes and then calls him Effie, which I think is adorable. Or Effie. It might be Effie, like Ephialtes, so maybe it's Effie. But regardless, it's amazing. Effie demands, don't call me Effie. And the way the book writes it is, and don't call me Effie. Effie demanded, A+, Percy narrator, perfect. Call me Ephialtes, that's my name. Or you can use my stage name, The Big F, which is wild, and I will only be calling him The Big F for the rest of the podcast. Otis says he's unsure about the stage name, and the Big F says it's perfect and asks how prep is going. Otis says, fine, we've got the man-eating tigers, the spinning blades, but I want ballerinas. And I'm like, what is this, an evil circus? What is going on here?
He has taste, all right?
Is it like Cirque Death Soleil? What's going on? The Big F says no to ballerinas and then says that the jar is not exciting and asks, what does it do? And Otis says, quote, but that's the whole point of the show. He dies unless the others rescue him. And if they arrive on schedule, and the Big F says that they better, quote, July 1st, the calends of July, sacred to Juno. We love a deadline. We love a deadline. The solstice, the Feast of Fortuna. Now we have the calends of July, sacred to Juno. And my thought was like, shouldn't it be in June? But that's when their mother wants to destroy, quote, those stupid demigods and really rub it in Juno's face. Besides, I'm not paying overtime for those gladiator ghosts.
Isn't it amazing, though, that we're so lucky that the Greek or the Roman calendars have so many important dates close together?
Yep, it just works out quite well, and thankfully basically all the months are named after people. Like, we can find all these different ways.
Really good thing that the ancient Greeks did for Uncle Rick.
Yeah,
you know?
it's very thoughtful of them to help him out in the long
Appreciate
run, specifically Uncle Rick, and then specifically me making this podcast. Otis says that they will all die, and then the two of them will begin the destruction of Rome, just like their mother wants. And he says that the crowd, the Roman ghosts, will love it. The Big F wishes that they could do something to the jar, like suspend it over fire or utilize a pool of acid to dissolve it. And then Otis says, we need him alive for a few more days, otherwise the seven won't take the bait and rush to save him. And before they even said anything, I wrote in my notes in all caps, Nico D'Angelo is in the jar! Oh!
That's in a jar.
Otis, man.
I was when I was reading this for the first time, I was wondering what was going to be in the jar because they just keep mentioning the jar. Like, what is going on there? And I did not expect that to be a person.
I didn't either. I didn't expect it to be a person. I didn't expect it to be Nico. I was really expecting like some sort of thing that helped with the closing the doors of death, but not like a person.
And to be fair, we did know that Nico had 6 days at the time. To live. So this kind of.
It works. I just thought he was going to be held captive. Cages seem to be a big theme in this sequel series, so I thought he was going to be in a cage of sorts, but he's in a vase. So Otis, again, thinks that a ballerina costume would be nice, and the Big F goes, no ballet, and then calls for Otis to examine the tigers, as they must be hungry. So Percy turns towards the jar and thinks that he has to see what's inside. So he wills the dream to see through it, which is very convenient. And inside, he sees the dim purple light of a Stygian blade and a boy wearing Nico's outfit, so it's for sure Nico. Percy calls out for him, but it doesn't work. And the narrator Percy says, quote, the container was completely sealed. The air was turning poisonous. Nico's eyes were closed, his breathing shallow. He appeared to be meditating. His face was pale and thinner than Percy remembered. On the inner wall of the jar, it looked as though Nico had scratched 3 hash marks with his sword. Maybe it had been 3 days since he was imprisoned, but then Percy thinks that's way too long to go without suffocating. And then Percy starts to panic because he's claustrophobic now. And he then sees some small objects near Nico's feet, and he realizes that they're pomegranate seeds. 3 have been eaten, 3 are still encased and are uneaten. Percy then asks Nico, where are they? And the image fades. And then Percy hears a girl's voice whisper, Percy. And it's Annabeth. And then he asks what's going on, and we soon realize that he's not actually dreaming. He was just very delicately woken up by Annabeth, which I think is the first time he is gracefully woken up in the entire 2 series.
Now, I do have a question, just one more thing about the dream, because the giants are having a nice little conversation, about destruction and death and all the fun stuff. But they do mention, Otis mentions at one point that he's talked to her.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Who do we think her
Who
is?
do we think her is?
It could be Gia. It feels too easy to be Gia. It feels like there needs to be some sort of other person.
The thing is, they talk about her in a way that they have talked to her directly. Gia doesn't really do that much. So it feels like it should be somebody else.
Yeah.
So what they say, what about our talented friend? Is she ready to receive her visitor? I really don't like talking to her. She makes me nervous, but is she ready? Yes, she's been ready for centuries. No one will be removing that statue. It's just so...
Just talk to each other.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a thought. I was too freaking out about Nico in a jar and all of that to like give this any thought. I have no idea. The statue, I don't know what's going on. Like, I feel like this has to link with the like Annabeth Athena quest in a way.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Maybe like I don't think they'd be talking to Athena. Oh, our talented friend. Statue, I don't know, but talented friend, is it like Arachne wanting revenge on Athena? Ooh. That is my initial thought. Because if we have an Athena situation, the most natural anti-Athena that I can think of aside from like a giant would be, especially a she, would be Arachne. So that'll be my initial guess. She is talented. She was supposed to be really good at weaving. And she makes me really nervous. She's a spider now. So yeah.
But there wouldn't be a statue of her.
Oh, statue of her.
Well, maybe it isn't of her, but...
Right, there's a separate statue and separate from the talented friend.
Because I would think that there would be connected. It would be a statue of
the scary person. But it's a talking statue that they talk to?
Well, like you have Tiberius, right, in Camp Jupiter. So.
Oh, yeah, Terminus. Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Right.
Yes.
No, okay.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Roman names.
I don't know. I'll have to give it more thought, but
yeah,
it's interesting.
Yes.
I'm just finishing my tennis match here. Thank you.
So now Percy's been woken up. He's kind of like struggling to understand what's going on. Annabeth then rolls her eyes and says, Percy, you'll be 17 in 2 months. You can't seriously be worried about getting into trouble with Coach Hedge. And then Percy asks if she has seen his baseball bat. And I wrote in my notes, is she gonna? And then she says that she wants to take him on a walk to her favorite place on the ship. And I was like, oh. But then Percy, as the narrator, says that his pulse was still in overdrive. But it wasn't from the fear of getting into trouble. And then I was like, huh? And he asks, can I, brush my teeth first? And then Annabeth says, you'd better, because I'm not kissing you until you do, and brush your hair while you're at it. And I'm like, is she gonna? But that is where we're actually going to leave this episode, end this act. But just, oh man, what's more exciting? Them kissing again or Nico being back? I don't know. Or who the heck is this statue person? Blah. But many wild things. But that is the end of this act. It's the end of this portion of the episode. If you're listening after, we're going to take a break before Q&A. So let's once again say goodbye to the podcast people.
Goodbye, podcast.
Hey, it's Mike from the future here. Just taking one more break since this is a longer episode. We'll do some more locally inserted ads before we get into the very fun Q&A, which has a whole wide range of questions. So a little bit of a break, and then we will conclude the episode with the super fun Q&A.
Let's do Q&A, and we'll do a bunch before we get kicked out of here. So this first one is from Martina. Subject line is 9 hours on the train from Vienna to Zurich, worth it. So definitely answering your question. Hey, Mike, I have 2 fun facts and 1 question for you. Fun fact 1, last weekend, the Eurovision Song Contest was held in Switzerland, and Poland sent a song about Gaia/Gia. Hey, that's cool. I did know Eurovision was going on. That is not the reason for my trip, even though many people emailed me and messaged me on social media being, are you going because of Eurovision? No. If Dottie Fryer was competing again, maybe, because that's my guy. 2, one of my friends I do PJO cosplays with is obsessed with Octavian, and I have no idea why. Interesting choice. Maybe they just hate stuffed animals. My question, do you have any advice for people starting a podcast / keeping up with it? I started my own podcast about 1.5 years ago, but the last 6 months university has been quite hard, and I've not recorded new episodes. How do you find the energy, motivation to keep going before it was your main job? I think for me, it was like my main creative outlet, so I liked doing it. And then honestly, the fact that I had a Patreon that a lot of people supported, I felt a little bit of like, not guilt, but like obligation to give the people what they want and make it good and put it out there. And also I am just like motivated myself by deadlines and stuff. I think the best way though to keep at it and stuff is to give yourself like a realistic workload that you can manage. That's why Potterless for the longest time, even when it was like quite popular, was still every other week because I just couldn't handle it. And I only switched to doing it weekly when I had a wild amount of patrons. Like when I got to, 1,000 patrons or like something ridiculous, it got to a point where I was like, all right, I need to do this weekly and make it more of a priority. And that's when I like
changed from a full-time job to a part-time job and then eventually went full-time with just the podcast. So I think the biggest thing is just find a cadence that you can work with. If that means episodes come out once a month, cool. If that means episodes are half as long as they used to be, cool. I think you just have to like understand what you can handle and then do that so you don't lose track. You never want your hobby to feel like a job that you don't like. So make the workload something you can manage. Okay, this one is from Gio. It says, Zürich Live Show, my first podcast live show ever. Hi, Mike, I'm Gio. Nope, pronounced like Joe. So this one's from Joe. It says, I'm Joe, pronounced like Joe, a longtime listener from Italy. So glad you managed to make a stop in Europe. Now to the question. Switzerland just hosted the Eurovision Song Contest, which I'm hoping you might know something about since you mentioned Daddy Fryer in the past. So I was wondering, if the Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus main characters were to represent a country at Eurovision, what kind of act/song do you think they would bring? Are you more well-versed in Eurovision than me? Because I know Daddy Fryer, I knew Little Big, and that's it. I do not know much about it in terms of...
I just know that we, as in the Czech Republic, never get in. And if we do, we don't get far enough.
We've gotten into the finals before.
Yes, once. And we, as in Ireland, which is where we live now, have been snubbed too many times just because Ireland can't afford to host it again. So...
I think that if the characters of Heroes of Olympus went into a Eurovision song, they would be demigod band, and there would be they would be all using their god powers to make the show, because Eurovision songs, they need to be flashy, they need to be super aggressive, in your face, poppy situation, and there will be choreography, there will be lightning, there will be water flying everywhere,
pyrotechnics.
I can tell you that Annabeth is going to direct it. She's going to come up with every single thing. She might even write the songs, but
I feel like they
maybe
would get
just
someone,
the words.
Yeah,
just the
maybe
lyrics.
Apollo people write the songs, and then you get like Leo doing the like pyrotechnics on stage and stuff. You get other people doing some effects. Grover's on the reed pipes.
Piper's not allowed to sing because if she does, she will charm sing people into giving them the
Oh
win.
yeah, Piper's the lead singer, and then you've got like Thalia on guitar and Nico on bass, and
and then at one point, about halfway through, Jason's just gonna fly in.
and do like a rap verse.
He's gonna do a rap verse, and then he's gonna fly away, and just everybody's gonna pretend like he was never there.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think we've got something here. Okay, this one is from, is it Yael? Y-A with an umlaut, or no, Y-A-E with an umlaut, L-L-E? Yael. Subject line, Zurich show, I have makeup homage to Percy Jackson and the New York State flag. What's the, is it blue, white, and orange, or? Blue and gold. Okay, cool. So, hi. Oh, I should have read this. Hi, my name is, pronounced like the yes for German, ja, and the she for French, which that doesn't help. I have a few small questions and a longer one. What percentage of your body is now cheese? A good percentage. I've had a fair amount. Though it was funny because like in America, we have what we call just Swiss cheese, which is like, I don't know the actual type of cheese it is, but it's like the harder cheese with holes in it. And we had like 5 cheeses before we had any cheese that had holes in it. And I was like, where's all the Swiss cheese? But we've had quite a bit of cheese. 2, how are Swiss prices compared to New York ones? Honestly, the same. So like everybody was warning me like, oh, we're so sorry how expensive it is. So I was like, I live in New York City. Like it's pretty comparable. I think grocery store prices are basically the same. Restaurant prices are a little more than in New York, but also maybe not. Kelly and I just like don't eat out at restaurants a lot anymore. We do a lot of home cooking. We've done a lot of home cooking here too because the grocery stores here are really strong. It hasn't felt ridiculous. So I think it's okay. Did you get lost in the Zurich train station? No, because I live in New York City, and that is a mess. Not a question, just love the new hair. Thank you to the city of Zurich for it, because I did get a cut here, and now it is changing my approach to my hair, so that's very fun. And then last, you said that you play a bit of Stardew Valley, so who is your marriage candidate besides your already incredible wife? Yes, our characters did marry each other in the game. And who do you think the Percy Jackson characters would pick? Let me pull up all the Stardew people. Are you Stardew players at all?
I don't know what it is. I'm
It's
sorry.
like it's one of those like cozy farming games. It's a fun game where like there's no wrong way to play. Like you can just farm, or you can just fish, or you can just like go in the mines. And
So is it like Sim or something?
it's kind of like The Sims. It's like an 8-bit like bird's eye view-ish kind of game, and you like can build out your house, but there's all these different things you can do, and you can do all of them to like really progress in the game, or you can just like really hone in on something that you like. So it's just a really fun, chill, like relaxing game. As part of it, since there's people in town, you can like become close and romantically get interested with
with some of the other people. According to the wiki here, there are 12 people. There's 6 dudes and 6 women that you can get with. And I feel like, because like you still, even if you have a wife in the game, like you can progress like romantically with people, and then you have to like tell them like, oh no, I don't feel that way and stuff, and you go on dates and all that. It can get like messy, and people can get jealous of each other.
Poly is a thing.
Oh, I don't know if it is in. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. Because in the game I just married Kelly. It was really easy. But I feel like when I played, I thought that Emily and Penny were cool. Emily's kind of like, she's got like blue hair and is into like weird, nerdy stuff.
Love
and
her
then Penny
already.
was just like nice and just like cared for her mom, I think, and stuff. Like she just seemed like a good egg. And then as far as the other characters though, oh man. I mean, Sebastian being very like emo-y punk rock, like that feels like Nico or Thalia would really enjoy Sebastian. Elliot, I think, would be a good fit for Piper, because he's like this, like he looks like Fabio, but he's actually like he looks like he's going to be just like a airhead kind of guy, but he's actually like really thoughtful and stuff. So I could see that as Piper liking that, because like she seems like she might be like she's kind of misunderstood with all of her situation.
He is giving Jason vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the hair.
And then I feel like Leo would want Haley, because she's just the most like, she's like the blonde pretty one, like, and he would be like, oh wow. And then
I think he would start wanting Haley, but I think he would end up going for Abigail.
yeah, Abigail feels like more correct for him vibe wise. The only other option maybe for, instead of Jason, Alex is very much like sports, lads. So I could see, and he's also kind of sweet too. So maybe Alex for Piper as well. Yeah, I don't know too much about like some of the other folk, but that's that. Let's move on and do some more. Let's see. Okay, this one's from Sandra. Subject line, Zurich Pigeon Watch. I have seen quite a bit of pigeons here. They are an interesting bunch. Given that the U.S. is kind of in an interesting place right now, I can imagine the gods shifting their home base. Where in the world do you think the gods would move to, and why is it Switzerland? Also, how do you rate Swiss pigeons? I enjoy Swiss pigeons. I think they're great. They're very slow moving. They seem to be like easygoing and kind of just like, I think they're the most hang out in groups that I've seen. It's like a lot of like clumps of pigeons as opposed to solo ones. But yeah, if you think the gods were going to go to a different country, where do you think that they would go to?
New Zealand.
Oh, I do like that.
They do move with the center of power, so I don't know if New Zealand. I mean, if I were God, I would go to New Zealand just because it's the coolest country in the universe. But
The center of power right now is an interesting question.
I don't want to get too political with it. So I will go on vibes alone, and I will say I'm going to pick New Zealand as well. I loved it. It was so great. It was like gorgeous, and everyone was super chill and really nice. And I feel like that could be a fun place. It would also be interesting for them to go to like a smaller country that's farther out of the way.
also to meet all the Maori gods.
Oh, that mythology would be so fun to cross over with Greek stuff. Yeah, that's great. Okay, this one's from Eve. It says, can we skip Q&A and get 35 minutes of eagle lore instead? Just kidding, unless. Here's my question. Which hero, god, ancestor, or monster do you think would like Switzerland the most, and why? Bonus question, in case nobody asked this yet, what was your favorite part of visiting Switzerland, and why is it the Wooden Cow Museum? I think my favorite thing has been just all the sights. Like all of the views and just walking around has been really fun, whether that was when we were in mountainy areas and the lakes and stuff, or like here in the city, just like walking around has just been like beautiful no matter where you're walking. It's been great. So, who do we think would like Switzerland the most?
Jason.
Why?
Just because there's so much space for him to fly. And also, like, as the son of Jupiter, he'd have like a lot of, I don't want to repeat myself and say space, but
yeah.
it feels like a place that would have particularly like special lightning storms and stuff like that. So
I would personally pick, I think, Enchiladas, because he seemed to really enjoy being atop Mount Doom, like on a big mountain. So if he was on top of like the Matterhorn, I feel like he would very much enjoy to be atop one of these giant mountains that's here. Do you have a thought of who would like Switzerland the most?
Which god or which demigod?
Anything. God, demigod, monster.
I think Hephaestus actually, and all of his skin, because there's like loads of mountains, and he can make his workshops and
inside the
everything.
mountains,
And
yeah.
it's remote, so nobody's gonna bother him. There's less of the human factor involved.
Okay.
I'd say.
Except for all the tourists skiing and mountain climbing.
Yeah, but they're not gonna go.
They're not going to go
inside.
all the way there.
This is what Mist is for. Lada.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, I think I said in the intro, it was Lungern. That's where we went, right? Where there was like nobody? Cool. Yeah. Lungern was sick. It was this like huge lake and there was like 0 people there. It was delicious. So yeah, Hephaestus would for sure enjoy that. Okay. Speaking of delicious, this one's from Sabrina and the subject line is Ovo Crunch is simply the best. Ovaltine Crunch, which you two
Hard
both
agree.
tasted for the first time backstage.
I'm moving to Switzerland. I will have never any money ever again, but I will have a lifetime supply of that.
Well, I have a empty luggage on the way back, which is no longer empty. so-
Yeah. I mean, and I had said this at the Potato Show last night, but like, I don't understand why Ovaltine Crunch spread is not as popular globally. I'm sure here it's different, but globally, that should be Nutella. Like, it's way better than Nutella. And you two told me in intermission that Nutella has palm oil in it, and Ovaltine Crunch spread does not have palm oil in it. So, like, it's better tasting, it's better for the environment, it's better for you. I haven't read the nutrition facts, so don't quote me on that. Better for your soul. I feel like I need to scream from the mountaintops. Maybe these mountains. Maybe I'll yodel from the mountaintops.
But
Like,
nobody's going to
everyone-
hear you. There's nobody there.
Everyone should be eating this. Anyway, the email. Thank you for 2 great shows here in Zurich. I'm having a great time. I'm currently listening to The Last and the Curious, my podcast that I released recently about the Fast and the Furious movies with Eric Hamilton Schneider. And I was wondering if the characters of Fast and Furious franchise were part of the PJ universe, who would their godly parents be? Ooh. Oh, Dom Toretto feels like... Have you watched any Fast and Furious movies?
Yes, but
When they first came out
Yeah. Okay.
35 years ago.
Yeah. So I would pick Dom Toretto as a child of Hades just because of like, it's kind of, is he good? Is he evil? But he's very dark and reserved and moody. I feel like Brian gives big like Poseidon energy, maybe just because I'm getting the main character vibes, but he's also like a very much, at least in the first movie, a very big like surfer bro type of dude with his flowing blonde hair. So he feels like that. Ooh, I could see Letty Ortiz being a child of Nemesis because she's all like, there's points where she's like about like revenge and justice and getting even and stuff like that. I could see Tej, Ludacris's character, as being a son of Hephaestus because he's kind of like the tinkerer of the group. Any other Fast and Furious character demigod thoughts?
I literally can't think of any other.
Okay.
I don't know any of their names. I can barely imagine their faces. But
We are terrible guests for
All right,
this
so
question.
this one is from Tony from the merch table. The live show is even more fun with a little more sleep. Hello again. In honor of the first chapter, having a bit of that Civil War vibe you were alluding to a few times in the past. On the pod, you've talked about Jason being a Captain America type of guy. That should make Percy more of the Iron Man, which I'm not sure is accurate. Do you think you could match more Avengers and Marvel characters with the PJO/HOO people? Alternatively, or both, who would the Avengers' godly parents be? Let's try to make PJO characters similar to Marvel characters. I mean, Percy Spider-Man just feels like a really good fit.
Oh,
They just have
yes.
very similar
Like
energy.
a genuinely good, compassionate guy.
also like the country of origin,
I could
the
also...
sassiness.
Yeah, I could see Nick Fury being either Chiron or Juno. I feel more like Chiron because it's like assembling the team and kind of working behind the scenes.
He doesn't train them, does he?
Yeah, he doesn't really, but he feels like kind of like the manager of the
So
group.
would we just call him Mr.
Mr.
D?
D?
Mr. D? Yeah, but Mr. D... maybe. It's tricky.
He knows their names, but otherwise. I mean, I feel like Mr. D also knows their names. He just purposely
He
chooses.
absolutely 1,000,000% chooses to call them wrong names.
Yeah. Any other ones? I mean, one of the Norse characters would have to be Thor, so I can't really do that. Oh, I could see Annabeth being Scarlet Witch just because, like, or not. No, I didn't mean to say Scarlet Witch, but I mean it because I was combining Scarlett Johansson with. But
Black Widow.
Black Widow.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes she's like behind the scenes, like organizing stuff. Sometimes she's in the fights, like somehow using just a tiny gun to defeat people. So I feel like that could.
Leo Iron
she
Man.
doesn't really have.
Leo is Iron Man with all the tinkering. Yeah, that's good.
No, she doesn't have any special powers, which Annabeth doesn't technically have any special powers either.
Just the wisdom. Yeah.
the wisdom.
Okay, this one's from. Okay, wait. I'm going to read the end. Pronounced. Okay, it's spelled Judith, but it's pronounced like you did. Okay, cool. Subject line, I took 2 overnight trains to get here with the Deutschbahn. So let's do that.
Brave.
Well done.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
This is how we will close out the show. Hi, Mike. I hope you, Kelly, and the little one are having a great vacation. We are. It's great. And soon after the show, we will be leaving. Not in a happy way. More in like our train is approaching. Now that you know who the 7 are, what do you think they would want to do if they had a quest in Switzerland? Really enjoying the show. So if we had to craft like a Switzerland quest for a PJO series, what do we think would happen? I feel like hiking up a mountain would have to be involved.
Yeah.
I feel like a gondola ride that goes wrong would have to be involved. Like someone goes and then a monster like cuts the cable and then they
There's
have
definitely
to...
a cow involved.
Oh, yeah. Oh, a magical talking cow for
There
sure.
also has to be the Ventis.
The venti, because
Yeah.
like all the wind and stuff.
Yeah, all the wind in
Yeah.
the mountains.
Yeah, utilizing like someone who gives like prophecies via yodeling like down the mountain and then they have to hike up to get to it. Yeah, I could see with the cow, speaking of the cow museum, one of the cows that we got from the cow museum, the Troffer cow, it's like a rainbow unicorn cow, like a cownicorn. I could see like the mythical cownicorn being real and like they have to find the magical talking cownicorn. And
Like save it from it was taken hostage by some of the monsters.
By an
And the
evil
rainbow has been-
chocolatier.
by an evil chocolatier. Yes.
yes.
Ooh, yes.
The evil chocolatier is actually a monster.
Yeah, it's like
Yes,
Yeah.
actually.
it would be like Nestle, the evil chocolatier.
Yes.
Because they suck.
It's a god.
Yeah, right.
It's a son of a god.
Right. Yeah.
His
yeah.
name is Nestle.
Nestle, and then they have to.
He turned evil.
They conquer them, and then they celebrate with a big feast that has like fondue and raclette and every single Ovaltine branded
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
And they have a big feast at the end.
And it's on the day of the Ovaltine. Yeah, it's the 2nd of July.
That's official Ovaltine
Yes,
Day. Yeah,
it
great.
is
I'm
now.
sure I wouldn't be surprised if there's a national holiday, and if not, there should be, and I will be back for that holiday. But that is our show. Thank you all so much for coming out to the show. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it to the show. Woo! Especially if you traveled from far away. Give it up to Lada and Vero for being incredible guests. Do you want to quickly plug your podcast?
Oh yeah, I actually also have a podcast. If anybody is into TV shows, me and my friend Lena cover loads of different TV shows. We are currently talking about Dirk Gently, the Holistic Detective Agency. We are almost done with season 2. It's called The Apple of Truth. You will be able to find that anywhere on your podcasting apps. Thank you
I've
so
been on
much.
an episode. 'cause
Oh,
we
you
did-
have been on the episode.
We
yeah.
did. It was the like Lucifer show, right?
Lucifer, yeah.
Which was that was a watch. That was a viewing experience for sure.
We did a fun one because there is one for Alternative Universe, which has nothing to do with the original plot. So
Yeah.
we were like, well, this is a great idea to bring somebody who's never watched it.
Unsurprisingly, I had not seen it, so that was fun. But also give a shout out to Kelly for watching the baby, and shout out to the baby as well for only making like one noise, and it was super adorable. So that's great, contributing to the show. And then shout out to everyone here, not only at Frame, the movie theater wrap, but specifically the Swiss podcast and audio Kensei team. So Mo and Marco on sound, like this has been awesome. And they're one of the few places that do like podcast live shows here in Switzerland. And they have been so fantastic with organizing all this, and the sound is great and all the visuals and stuff are really cool. And they were just like top to bottom awesome and were really helpful for me to get this set up, because when I book international shows, I have to do it all myself and it's a mess, and they made it not a mess. So give a round of applause to them for making this so smooth. And of course, finally, shout out to Tony for running the merch table, which you can visit on the way out. So give it up to Tony as well. But that is our show. I really appreciate it. This has been a blast. You all have been a delightful audience. This has been so fun. The trip has been fun, and what a beautiful cherry on top of my first time in Switzerland. I'll have to come back. But until I make my return, until then, Thanks so much for coming out, everybody!
Hello! Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Kampamanis and Brandon Grugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you really enjoy the show and you just can't get enough, there's a couple of different things that you can do. First, you can go to patreon.com/thenewesolympian, and you can get access to all sorts of bonus content that I post on a very regular basis. You also can find us and get involved in the community on social media. We've got an Instagram, we've got a Blue Sky, we've got a Twitter, we've got a Facebook, we've got a subreddit, we've got a Discord that's available to all patrons. If you want to support the show, you can get merch at thenewestlympian.com/merch. You can see live shows at thenewestlympian.com/live, and you can check out the aforementioned Patreon. And speaking of, I want to give a shout out to our highest tier, the Ultra God tier patrons who are helping to produce this show with their financial support. So shout out to Kelsey Gillespie, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Abby Ryan, Marco Redhouse, Sam Reeby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkopf, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Persasabeth, Aiden Parziani, Grace, Ginger Spurs Boy, A Cup of Solace, Bradamus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Natanya Page, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jackson, Han Haley Hingelheimer Schmidt, Catherine Sloan, Haley Mary, Jim Jam Koopy, Kit Kat Crumbs, Andrea, not Andrea, Jordan Ray, Nico's Black Vespa, and Zayden Wintergate. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, just spreading the show via word of mouth is huge. You can tell someone directly who you think would like the show. You could post about it on social media. You could leave a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. All of these things really do help, and I really appreciate anyone who has done it in the past or will do so in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tuned into our next episode, where we'll be joined by Robert from the Damn Meme page to conclude Chapter 13 and do all of Chapter 14 of the Mark of Athena. But until then, I'll see you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So this time, I don't know if you could tell the energy in the mid-roll break being different, but I was standing the whole time. I have my microphone set up here on top of my dresser, mainly because we recently cleared off the top of our dresser so that we can do this and not have to like wheel a table in here. So now that I'm standing, we'll do a little different ASMR Mike segment where I'm going to run my fingernails along the clothing rack bar that is above me here in the closet, because yeah, it's a closet. Thank you so much for listening.